What's going on, everyone? Terry Mandangle back again. We're going to break down the remainder of the Week 4 games. All we have left are the 4 o'clock games and the primetime games. So we're going to give you the top pick from every team and the best fade from every team. So let's get started. We're going to start with Cleveland at San Diego. We'll start with Cleveland. The top pick for Cleveland is going to be Isaiah Crowell. San Diego is 27th in the league versus the rush. Crowell hasn't had a great season so far, but he does have the best matchup in this game, and he is very cheap. So he'll be the top play for Cleveland. The fade is going to be Josh McCown. San Diego is third in the league against the pass this year. He's coming off a really, really good game last week, but they were playing from behind, and he got most of those points in garbage time. I'm going to be fading Josh McCown. He is the worst matchup for Cleveland this week. Moving on to San Diego, the top play is going to be Melvin Gordon. Cleveland is dead last in rush D. Gordon hasn't had many good games so far this year. He did have one good game a couple weeks ago, but he is cheap, and he does have a great matchup this week, so he'll be the top play, in my opinion. The best fade for San Diego is going to be Ladarius Green. He's had 2 concussions this month. He's going to need to pass the concussion protocol in order to play again. It is a late game, so I don't like playing people in late games with injury statuses that are still up in the air, just because it's hard to find replacements, even if you're playing on late swap sites. So I'm going to be fading Ladarius Green. Cleveland has been good against tight ends this year. They haven't allowed more than 4 catches to any tight end all year, so I'm going to be fading Ladarius Green. Moving on to the next game is Green Bay at San Francisco. The top play is going to be Randall Cobb. San Francisco has the 26th ranked pass defense. Larry Fitzgerald torched them last week. Cobb's coming off 2 very good weeks. He had 3 touchdowns last week. He's very cheap for this matchup. I will definitely be playing Randall Cobb. The fade is going to be Richard Rodgers, not Aaron Rodgers. Play Aaron Rodgers, but don't play Richard Rodgers. He's their tight end. It's really a dart throw for a touchdown, basically. You're looking for him to score. If he doesn't score, he hasn't had more than 3 catches, hasn't topped more than 30 yards. He will be the clear fade for the Green Bay offense this week. Moving on to San Francisco, the top play is going to be Carlos Hyde. Green Bay has the 25th ranked run defense. They've given up 4 touchdowns so far this year. He's coming off 2 bad weeks, but he had really bad matchups those 2 weeks. Reggie Bush is going to be back, but Hyde will still see the majority of the carries. He'll be my top pick for San Francisco. The fade for San Francisco for me is going to be Colin Kaepernick. Green Bay has a decent pass defense. They have 11 sacks so far this year. They can get to Kaepernick and get him rattled, and when he gets rattled, he does not have good games. He's coming up a terrible game with 4 interceptions and only 67 passing yards. That's atrocious. I will not have any Colin Kaepernick this week. All right, moving on to the next game is going to be Minnesota at Denver. We're going to start with Minnesota. The top play here is going to be no one. Denver's defense is the best in the league. Peterson is too expensive for this matchup. He might have an okay day, but I will not be playing him. I won't have any Adrian Peterson in any of my lineups. If that burns me, then it burns me, but the matchup is not good for him. I don't like playing people against Denver this year so far. It has been rough. They have not had a lot of yards or touchdowns to give up, so I'm going to be fading pretty much everyone on Minnesota, but my more specific fade would probably be Teddy Bridgewater. Denver has the best pass defense in the league. They also have 11 sacks. They can get to the quarterback. They have 6 interceptions. Teddy Bridgewater has not looked good this year. I thought he would, but he has not. So I'm going to be fading Teddy Bridgewater. Moving on to Denver. The top pick for Denver this week is going to be Demaryius Thomas. Minnesota's middle of the road pass defense, but Keenan Allen shredded them last week. He had 12 catches for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. Thomas has had at least 7 catches in every game this year. He'll be the top pick for Denver this week. The fade for Denver is going to be C.J. Anderson. He has a good matchup, but he hasn't done anything at all this year. I'll be fading him until I see something from him, anything at all, really. Moving on to the next game, it's going to be St. Louis at Arizona. St. Louis, the top play, once again, that's going to be no one. Arizona's a top 10 versus the pass and the run. They're a really tough matchup for St. Louis. I'll be fading everyone. If you want a specific fade, I won't be playing Jared Cook. Arizona hasn't allowed more than 4 catches or 48 yards to tight ends, and they haven't let up a touchdown either. So no Jared Cook for me this week. Moving on to Arizona, the top play is going to be Larry Fitzgerald. It's not a great matchup for him, but he's had 2 straight monster games with at least 8 catches, at least 110 yards, and at least 2 touchdowns in both of those games. He's still a little underpriced for the production that he's been putting up, so I will be playing Larry Fitzgerald. My fade is going to be Andre Ellington. He's coming off a knee injury, but Coach Bruce Arians saying that even if he does play, Chris Johnson is going to get 15 to 20 carries. If Andre Ellington plays, I don't like Chris Johnson either, but if Andre Ellington sits, then Chris Johnson is not a bad play this week. Moving on to Dallas and New Orleans, that would be the Sunday night game. The top play for Dallas is going to be, in my opinion, is going to be Lance Dunbar. He had 10 catches for 100 yards last week. Whedon was in constant check-down mode last week. He did not throw the ball deep at all. He only targeted his receivers a few times. Dunbar was the main recipient. Like I said, he had 10 catches. He has 2 8+ catch games so far this year, and he is the main passing back for Dallas. Dallas should be throwing and be behind in the fourth quarter, so I expect Dunbar to have a decent showing again this week. My fade is going to be Brandon Whedon. He is not looking comfortable throwing the ball anywhere near downfield. He's been just throwing short routes, check down routes. He's been accurate for the most part. I think he's only had 4 balls that have hit that haven't been caught, and one of them was for an interception. So it's not a problem with his accuracy. It's a problem that he's just not throwing the ball downfield. And if you don't throw the ball downfield, you're not going to get any yards, and that's how you score points for fantasy. So I will not be playing any Brandon Whedon this week. Moving on to the New Orleans Saints, the top play is going to be Mark Ingram. Dallas had been pretty good against the rush this year up until last week when Devontae Freeman just went crazy for 141 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also added 5 catches for 52 yards. The Dallas D has been good, but Ingram should get enough touches to pay off his price. My fade for New Orleans is going to be Ben Watson. Dallas has been very good against the tight end, and Watson hasn't had more than 4 catches or 42 yards in any game this year, and he doesn't have any touchdowns as well, so I will be fading Ben Watson. Moving on to the Monday night game, we're looking at Detroit at Seattle. Detroit, we're going to go with Detroit first. This is going to be really easy. Don't play anyone, fade everyone. Seattle at home, you don't want to have anything to do with an offense that has to play that defense in Seattle. So I'll be fading everybody. I don't even have a specific fade, just fade everybody. I don't even like Calvin Johnson in this matchup. It's just too expensive. Moving on to Seattle, the top pick is going to be Jimmy Graham. He's got a great matchup versus the 25-ranked pass defense. Last week he had 7 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown. He's expensive, but he's definitely worth the price. And for my fade for Seattle, I'm going to be fading Marshawn Lynch. His status is still uncertain with a hamstring injury, and there's no way to replace him if he doesn't play because it's the Monday night game. So that's going to be the wrap-up for the late games and the primetime games. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to make a comment on any of the videos that I've been posting. Hit me up on Facebook if you know me, on Twitter. I'm at Terry Mandangle. You can find me there. Ask me any questions. I'm here for you guys. Just let me know. So until you see me again, good luck in all of your tournaments and win all of the monies. See you guys.